Alright, today we're going to talk about the structure of an advantage and a disadvantage. If you are a high school student watching this, this might not pertain to you as far as advantages are concerned because you might be more familiar with a stock issues perspective. However, if people just read like plan text, some advantages and solvency, this will pertain to what you're kind of familiar with. So, first thing we should think of is that there are three central parts to an advantage or a disad. And to explain those three central parts, we are going to use a cliff. This is a cliff that we're going to talk about a lot. We're going to start with drawing this individual. We don't know who this individual is, but for the sake of argument, let's name this person Frederick. So Frederick is hanging out here, alright? He's just standing there. That is all he's doing, alright? And it turns out that us discussing that Frederick is just hanging out there, just standing there, maybe having a picnic, is the first part of a disad, or an advantage. The first part is called uniqueness. Alright, and uniqueness literally just is a description of the status quo. It's a description of what is going on right now. Alright, so Frederick is literally just sitting there. We'll even give him a soda. He's got a soda, and he's drinking a soda near a cliff. Probably not a smart individual, maybe he likes the view, who knows. But he's sitting there, and that is uniqueness. Just describing what he is doing. Standing there, drinking a soda. Alright? Now, the second part of disad involves what's going to happen next. Well, actually, let's talk about the uniqueness a little bit more. So, a uniqueness in a disad is going to be Frederick is hanging out here. Or Frederick is hanging out here and moving away from the cliff. Where uniqueness on an advantage is going to be he's headed towards the cliff. Currently. Right, and that'll make more sense here in a second because the second portion of a disad or an advantage is what the plan does to alter Frederick's movement. Alright? And that's the link argument. And a link just is, what is the plan going to do that alters Frederick's existence right now? How does Frederick change because of the plan? Alright, that's the link argument. Alright, so the plan could be putting a shiny object over on the other side, or he recognizes something down at the bottom and he wants to check it out, so he starts hanging out and heading in that direction. Alright? If you're reading a disad, Frederick's there now, plan causes a shiny object or something that he wants to go look at, so he heads towards the cliff. Alright? And so that's what that would be. So if it's an advantage, Frederick's headed there right now in the status quo, so that's the uniqueness claim. Frederick's going to check something out now. Plan puts a shiny object over here, distracts Frederick, and he starts going back over here. So he turns around. So he's headed this way, but with an advantage, he flips around and he starts heading the other direction. Alright? And what happens next is interesting. These are the great fiery spikes of death. Alright? And the great fiery spikes of death are impacts. So, a disad would say, Frederick's hanging out, drinking a soda. Plan causes a shiny object to be over here. It could be because something's on fire, because the fiery, spiky rocks of death. And so Frederick starts walking that way. He falls over the cliff, lands on the fiery rocks, and dies. And that's how a disad is formatted. Not going to go over the cliff now. Plan causes him to go towards the cliff and fall off of it. That causes big bad things to happen. An advantage, on the other hand, is going to say the opposite. It's going to say he's walking that way now, and he's walking towards a very bad fate, right? Because there's fiery, rocky, spiky things down here. Plan causes him to flip around, and he walks back away from it, saving him from certain death. Alright, and so that's how an advantage and a disad function. Very simply. Alright?